Lyn Nofziger was one of those irrepressible, humorous people that was always fun to be with. He had an amazing history, really, starting by serving in World War II.
Nofziger was a genuine American hero. On his left hand, these two fingers were missing because they'd been blown off by Nazi shrapnel.
I met Lyn when he was a reporter with a copy press in Southern California. Well, I didn't get to know him until we hired him in 1965 to be our press secretary in the Reagan for Governor campaign. I said, Lyn, here's the deal. We'll give you so much money, we'll pay for your living expenses, and we'll throw in a case of Plymouth gin. And he goes, Plymouth gin? He has a stubby little hand, he calls a hand. He waves it in the air, he says, you got a deal.
He was one of the earliest people to serve in Ronald Reagan's campaign. I think he may have been the first paid staffer to work in that campaign. At a time when Ronald Reagan was not well known in the political world. And to a great extent, Lyn was able to explain the background, what Ronald Reagan believed. So he was an extremely valuable person, and also he was able to advise Ronald Reagan about the political world.
If Reagan doesn't run in 1976 and come close to losing to Ford, then he never runs in 1980. And if he doesn't run in 1980, then history is vastly different. And Lyn deserves a lot of that credit.
One of the most important things he did, of course, was to be the spokesman for President Reagan on the day that he was shot. Because Jim Brady, of course, who was the press secretary and ordinarily would have handled these things, had been shot, Lyn said, I'll handle the news people there. And so he jumped out, and from that day, throughout that day, he took care of acting as the press secretary, kept the press advised of what was going on, answered their questions, and just did a terrific job.
Lyn had also in that time was what John Kennedy talked about, grace under pressure. Reagan exhibited it, and so did Nofziger.
Got recognition from working with Reagan, and more recognition when he went into the White House. And all of these things add up to a successful person. And because of those successes, he's being put into the Hall of Fame of the American Association of Political Consultants.
Well, I remember Lyn as a friend. I remember him for his sense of humor. I remember him for the loyalty that he had to his friends, to Ronald Reagan, and just the fact that he was a genuinely good person.
In one sense, he was sui generis. He was unique because they broke the mold. I mean, you could use all the tired old cliches, but they all apply to Lyn because he was different than everybody else. And you don't have those type of characters in American politics today who are interesting and also very, very talented and very, very bright. And he, you know, himself affected the course of American history.
You know, if Reagan was here tonight at this event and was having one of his boys, as he called all of us, being honored by this society by being put in their Hall of Fame, he'd be very happy. He'd be very pleased because he admired Lyn, he respected Lyn, and above all, he enjoyed Lyn.